Hey everyone, it's Jason. It's time for another Marvel Champion the Card Game unboxing. We have the Wrecking Crew Scenario Pack. So if you checked out some of my other videos, you've seen we've had obviously the core set. It shows all the heroes, all the different villains you can fight, and you'll see that what makes this game really fun is everything's adaptable. So you can swap out now with these new scenario packs, because I've opened up some hero packs, some different characters you can play as. I have opened up we've done the Green Goblin set scenario, so that's like a different way you can swap in. Plus, there's some more coming out with like Red Skull and things like that, and Chain. Yeah, this is just more stuff you can mix in and match. And if you want to try some different heroes, we can try some different heroes. This is actually showing this is actually a different type of gameplay. So what's unique about this is you're actually fighting all four villains at the same time. So when you play these out, you're going to play all four Wrecking Crew villains. They each have their own special side scheme as addition to the main scheme, which you have to fight. Then each villain in Wrecking Crew has its own encounter deck of 15 cards, identified by the villain's name. Find the cards for each one and repeat the process. So Nemesis cards and obligations are not used when playing in this scenario. So basically when you're playing this, you have the main scheme up here you have to deal with. Plus each villain has their own side scheme. And their own special deck. So like the Wrecker's only going to do Wrecker stuff. Thunderbolt's only going to do Thunderbolt stuff. And so on and so forth. Each of the four Wrecking Crew has its own side scheme to attack. This card cannot only play while the villain is in play. These side schemes are not discarded, have no threats on them. Instead, these side schemes are removed when their corresponding villain is defeated. So you have to defeat the villain first. There's just different modes you can play. You have to defeat all four villains is what you have to do. So it's a different game. Nothing special there. Alright, let's take a look at what we got here. Let's look at this one first, because this looks like it has the main scheme. Yeah, so this is what makes this game seem really fun, really cool, is because not only are your heroes modular, you're playing a deck with a character, but you can swap in different cards, try something different. Plus, all of the villains are all gonna play differently. I mean, I love Marvel Legendary, and their schemes in that game can definitely change how the game is played. But overall, the game is the same. It's let's just open up this one too while I'm rambling about Marvel Heroes. I play my cards, I draw them. Like, villains are entering play, I have to defeat them, I have to defeat the mastermind. Yeah, there's other little things you can tweak on how the things are done, this and that. But overall, it's generally the same. I'm not saying you couldn't apply that same logic to this game, being like, well, there's a villain, I have to defeat the villain or defeat the main scheme. Yep, it's the same idea. But if you look at the main set, you had Rhino, who's just all about attacking. You had Claw, who had scheming stuff. And you had Ultron, who had lots of drones and stuff he played. And he powered up that way. Then you get to Green Goblin. His set, he actually has his two different villains. One's Green Goblin, who he plays massive amounts of enemies that you need to defeat as quickly as possible to do stuff. But on his other side, he has Norman Osborn. You could play as him where he flips back and forth between Norman Osborn and Green Goblin, trying to complete schemes as Norman while going mad and doing attacks as Green Goblin. So it's definitely interesting. And then this set, it's straight up like, nope, we're taking out that normal formula of, it's like normal, it's like, here's your villain, here's your scheme. Then Green Goblin added in, you have a villain that flips over. So that was different. This adds 4 different characters. And then when you get to Kang, which is coming out, there's actually Like after you beat King the first time, his second form, instead of like just being another powerful villain, because I've seen the previews so far, it's just being previewed. Each player then gets a different version of King that they have to personally fight. So again, it takes the entire concept of the game, flips it on the head, but it plays the same way. Alright, let's see what we got here. We have Breakout. Let's look at the back first. Play with Wrecker, Thunderball, Piledriver, and Bulldozer A as villain, B for increased difficulty. Each has their own encounter deck. Put the Day of Reckoning, Thunderstrike, Pylon, and Clear side schemes into play. Place the active counter on Wrecker. So he starts on Wrecker. And then it says Force Response. Main Steam. Starts with 0, but gets +1. After step 1 of the villain phase, place 1 threat on each side steam. Move the activation counter to the villain whose steam has the most threats. If there is a tie, the first player chooses. This stage is complete. They lose the game. So, alright, we'll see how that works. So each character has their own little deck. So we're going to start with the Wrecker, the leader of the group. Wrecking Crew, of course. 14 hit points. When Wrecker steams, place a threat on his side steam instead of the main steam. While Wrecker is attacking, he gets 2 attack if the attack is undefeated. Or undefended. And then, instead of having like a B side, it's just a separate character. So his attacking steam go up 1. When threats are placed, they're placed on the main. His side steam, so the main steam will attack, he gets +2. Basically, he just gets a little bit stronger. More hit points up to 18. His side steam here, Day of Reckoning. So it starts with 6, but you can't leave play unless you defeat him. Focused response. After a threat is placed here, if there are 10 or more threat here, deal 2 damage to each friendly character and remove all but 3 threats from the steam. So every time you go to steam, they go on him. And then you have to... and if there's 10 or more on here, he's going to deal 2 damage, then you make it weaker, and then it keeps going back up. But it already starts with 6, so... it can get pretty dicey pretty quick. We have Hostage Held, which is weird. This is a record card, and then they have, you'd be like, why do they have a different character? Because I think some of these cards go through every single character. So they don't all have, their 18 cards in the set are not all 100% unique cards to them. Attached to the active villain side steam, threats cannot be removed from the side steams by thwarting. A villain hero action, the villain corresponding to the attack side steam attacks you, discard this card. So basically you have to wait until they attack you. He has his magical crowbar. It's a weapon. Force response. After Wrecker attacks, place 1 threat on the side steam with the least threat. And then exhaust your hero to discard 1 card at random to discard this card. Wrecker's command, a condition. After Wrecker steams, place 1 threat on each other villain's side steam, and spend 2 fists to discard this. So, because they keep having them things, I believe are like, if they have 10 or more, they do a bunch of stuff. So you have a bunch of corrupt prison guards, which have traitor, which have guard. They can't steam, but they can keep attacking you. We have an escaped convict, which is going to surge. And then boost. Move the active counter to the villain whose side steam has the least threat. If you're in hero form, that villain attacks you after that. If you're in hero form, that villain attacks you after this attack. That attack does not get a boost card. The buddy system. When revealed, choose a villain whose side steam has the least threat. Reveal the top card of this deck. The top 2 cards reveal the top 2 if he's the only villain in play. Boost. Move the active counter to the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. Chaos in the Prison. When revealed, choose to either discard an upgrade card you control or place 1 threat on the active villain side. Scheme for each upgrade you control. If you do not control any upgrades, this gains Surge. This attack is undefeated. Discard an upgrade card you control. Crowbar Toss. Alter Ego, Wrecker Schemes. Then move the active villain counter to the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. When Wrecker attacks you, then move the active villain counter to the villain who has the least threat. Get Wrecked. Alter Ego form. When the villain whose side scheme has the most threat schemes, and the hero of the villain whose side scheme has the least threat attacks you. I've been waiting for this. When revealed, the active villain, such depending on where your counter is moving around, heals 3 hit points. Give that villain a tough status card. And then boost, move the active counter to the villain with the least threat on the scheme that villain schemes. They have a mystical link. Place 2 threats on each side scheme. Boost, when Wrecker gains 3 attack for this activation unless you place 2 threat on his side scheme. And his final card, You're Dead Meat. When revealed, deal 1 damage to the hero or ally with the fewest remaining hit points. If that character is defeated this way, please place 3 threats on Wrecker's side scheme. Alright, so he's all about just straight up attacking guys. We have Thunderball, Wrecking Crew. When Thunderball schemes, place a threat on his side scheme instead of the main scheme. Force response. After Thunderball attacks, deal 1 damage to each character you control. He only has 13 hit points. So he goes from 3 to 1 to 3 to 2. Does the same stuff, but gains 16 hit points. Thunderstruck. Gamma Blast. Force response. After a threat is placed here, if there are 10 or more threats, stun each friendly character, remove all but 3. So the one does damage. His is about stunning. Ball and Chain. After he attacks, place 1 threat on the main scheme. So this is how you're going to get stuff on the main scheme, is some of his stuff. Exhaust your hero and discard a card from random. To discard this card. Because yeah, you can't remove threats from that, so you're going to want to prevent them. So I've held hostage again. We've seen that one. Radioactive buildup. Attached to Thunderball. Excess damage dealt by Thunder is placed as threat on his corresponding side scheme. After Thunderball attacks, discard this card. He has 3 extra attack. Some more prison guards, escaped convicts, buddy system, chaos in the prison. We've already seen all these. Energy projectiles. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each friendly character you control. Boost, deal 1 damage to the defending character. Yeah, he looks like he likes to hit multiple guys. We have Get Wrecked. I've been waiting for this. Here we go. Living Lightning Blast. Place 3 threats on the side scheme with the most threats. When it's a hero, Thunderball attacks you. Just as undefeated, place 3 threats on Thunderball's side scheme. Tactical Prowess. When revealed, move all threats from the side scheme with the least threat to the side scheme with the most threats. That scheme's force response is not triggered, and this card was not triggered this way. This card gains Surge. Alright, so that's interesting, the way he plays. Who else do we have? So we have Piledriver. Retaliate 1. So you do damage, he's going to hit you back. When he schemes, place the threat on his side steam instead of his main steam. And he just gains more attack and a couple more hit points. He only has 14. Piledriver, force response. Threat is 10 or more. Each player discards the upgrade or support card they control at the highest cost. Remove all but 3. So the one does damage, the one stuns you. This one will remove all your make you discard an upgrade or support card. So you start getting some of these where they place multiple threats. You could hit some of them all at the same time. Distracting taunts. Piledriver gets 3 hit points. Other players cannot attack other villains. So play 2 fists to discard this. So taunting card. We have held hostage, guard, convict, buddy system, get wrecked. I've been waiting for this. We've seen all those. Oversized hands. Discard the support card you control at the highest cost. If no support card was discarded this way, place 2 threats on the active villain's team. Discard a support card. So he does not like your support cards. Escape plan. If you're confused, if you're already confused, he schemes. I'm guessing like maybe you don't expect the brains to do stuff or the big bulky guy to do stuff. Give the active villain a tough status card. If they already have a tough status card, place 2 threats on their scheme. Pummel, alter ego, Piledriver schemes. If Piledriver is tough, he gains 2 steam for his activation. Piledriver attacks you. If Piledriver is tough, he gets +2 attack for this activation. So you get that tough status on, he does more. Uncanny resilience. Remove each stunned and confused status card from each villain. No status card removed gains surge. Boost, you are now confused. So that was Piledriver. And then finally, we have Bulldozer. So there are no extra side steams in this deck because you don't mix any extra in here. So that also makes them a unique villain, but also makes them kind of a little lacking because I can play against the Wrecking Crew, but at least based on the way it's played, I can't add anything else to this. If I'm fighting the Wrecking Crew, I'm only fighting the Wrecking Crew. Where Green Goblin, you could add different scenarios and do side steams and do stuff like that. You can mix and match guys. It's like a Wrecking Crew just fighting the Wrecking Crew. The only thing you could do to make it more challenging would add a special side steam to each of their decks. But I don't know how much that would do because they don't have any minions and they don't have any way to put stuff on side steams. So I'm not sure how that would work. We have Bulldozer. Bulldozer steams, place all threats on a side steam instead of the main steam. Force Interrupt. When Bulldozer attacks, the attack gains overkill. So yes, 1 steam, 3 attack, gains 2 steam. 12 to 15 hit points. Clear the road. Charge. 10 threats. Each player must discard the top 10 cards of their decks. Oh boy. He would probably be my first target. He has armor, Bulldozer's helmet. After Bulldozer attacks you, discard 1 card from the top of your deck for each point of damage dealt by this attack. Hero action. Exhaust your hero and discard 1 card at random from your hand. Yeah, he doesn't want you to have cards. So you have hostage, you have ramming speed, attachment condition. When Bulldozer attacks, you must defend against Bulldozer attacks with an ally you control if able. Forced response. After Bulldozer attacks, discard a card. If you put his helmet on and he gains overkill, oh boy. We've seen that. We've seen Escape Convict. We've seen Buddy System. We have Bull Rush. Alter Ego. Bulldozer schemes. Discard the top card of your deck for each threat placed by this activation. He doesn't scheme very hard. Bulldozer attacks you. Discard the top card of your deck for each damage dealt. That could be definitely worse. Chaos in the Prison. Get wrecked. We have Headbutt. Discard a card at random from your hand. If you're in hero form, take damage equal to that printed cost. If you're in alter ego form, place a threat on Bulldozer side steam equal to that card's printed cost. Definitely rather be the hero in that mode. Leading the charge. Discard your top X cards of your deck where X is Bulldozer's attack. Place one threat on your side steam for each different card type discarded this way. So that is Bulldozer. Alright, yeah, so these guys are pretty interesting. It's, sorry, it looks like a really fun, way to play it. I kind of feel like the fact you can't just add in side steams and you don't have, like, the Obligation or the Nemesis decks. Not to say they're not going to be difficult enough without those, but that just kind of not being able to have the modular ability makes this kind of odd. So I kind of also wonder when Kane comes out, is that going to be the same issue? Because if you have villains per player, although these guys each have their own deck, and that's the problem, is you don't have one shared encounter deck. And that would be the thing, is if, like I said, you'd almost have to add one side steam per character. After step 1 of the villain phase, place one threat on each side steam. Move the active counter to the steam. So it's gonna gain +1 every turn. So you're gonna basically have 6 turns to try and stop this. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's Wrecking Crew. So, like, out of all the sets, this might be the one I'd say buy last. I could put some. This is the only thing also kind of funny, though, because they're showing 4 different health counters. You only get 1 in the base set. So, you have to use something else to do it. If you not enough hit point dials, you can use the dice. Yeah, so you're going to have to play something else, or you're going to have to go out and buy 4 more. And I don't think they're selling these separate yet. Let's zoom out on this. You can stop the video at any time if you want. I just wanted to review over some of this stuff. Any effect that refers to the villain only refers to the active villain. Any card that refers to the encounter deck only refers to the active villain's counter deck. The villain's deck is dealt to a boost card is dealt to the active villain's deck. The player's dealt to encounter card is from their deck. It's only whichever one's active at the moment. But you can attack or thwart anybody. When a counter card leaves play, is placed in the top discard of the encounter deck. So you're not mixing and matching them. When it's empty, shuffle it back in. Place an acceleration token on the main steam. Oh boy, so if their deck empties, you still have to accelerate the main steam. When a villain is defeated, their side steam is also removed from the game. Any encounter cards from the villain deck in play remain in play. The players defeat all 4 villains. So your option, probably more quicker than trying to take out the main steam, is to take out all 4 villains. Each of the 4 villains has its own cannot be corresponding villain. These side steams are not discarded when they have no threats. Instead, side steams are removed from the game when they're so may as well not. I mean, you can spend time to remove steams from them or threats, but it might be more better just to take them out. The Wrecking Crew does not use other encounter sets, but can be played with varying levels of difficulty. To play standard mode, put each A version. To play expert mode, put B version during setup instead. Players can also customize the different difficulty by placing some A's and some B's. For extreme difficulty, start with version A and put each villain's version B under it. When villain A is defeated, play villain B. Yeah, so it's saying don't mix anything else in there. Alright, well, that was Wrecking Crew. Definitely an interesting way to play. Different mechanics. Again, I feel sort of the downside is it doesn't have that modular that the others do. But maybe what they will do is release another like set or two of characters like this, where it's like, here's this guy with their own, what were they, like 15, 18 card decks? Yeah. Yes, if they released other characters with their own 18 card decks, then you could be like, oh, alright, I'll swap out Thunderbolt for, whoever else. Let's say they made a Masters of Evil the same way. Then I would say you'd be able to mix and match those together to make a different setup of characters, as long as they're all playing the same way. Or they have their own side scheme that does that. Because I think like Rhino was the weakest one. Yeah, he has 21 cards. So, I mean, I suppose you could try swapping out one of these characters for Rhino, but the thing is, Rhino has other cards that do other things. So it's almost a separate game mode. So if I had to say anything, I would say, you want more stuff to play? Buy it. If you're really in it for the more cards to module with other stuff, this might be one to skip. See you guys later. Bye.